guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a book review for you. On my last book review video, I just want to preface real quick that I've recently updated and upgraded the way that I perform my book reviews to be much more clear, concise, consistent. So I hope you like it. I kind of list the way that I do it. The checkpoints that I go through are down below in the description box, as well as the grading system or the rating system that I use for my book. So let's get into it. This review is on the book called Small Great Things. The author is Jodi Picoult. She is a pretty popular author, although I think this was only the second book of hers that I've read, but I do like her a lot. The genre, I would say, is, well, it's fiction for sure. It's a little harder to describe the genre. It's kind of a mix of, it gets into some social topics, some like ethics topics. It talks about race. It has some like court law. I mean, that's kind of a big part of it, is that like a court case law element to it. And yeah, I guess I wouldn't call it a thriller, but I feel like there's a couple thrilling kind of like bits with that. So yeah, it's a book that talks about like race and class and social discrepancies, and that's what I'll say about that. As for my overall rating of Small Great Things, I'm new to this rating scale, so it's hard for me. I'm kind of between giving it an A and an A plus. I think I'm going to give it an A. An A is a book that is a great book, you know, and it talks about how I get this grading scale, by the way, from a girl named Pores and Pages. It's in the description box. But like, it's a great book, but A plus is a really, really high bar, and so it doesn't quite hit it, but it's amazing. So this is an A for sure. Now, the basic plot info. Okay, so this is the story of a nurse. She's a black nurse in the labor and delivery unit. Her name is Ruth. She is working one day and ends up being the nurse who takes over for a nurse getting off of a shift for a couple who's about to give birth, and they are a white supremacist couple. They are extremely rude to her, and they cause a big commotion. They ask for the supervisor. They say that they don't want this woman touching their baby, yada, 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 yada. And Ruth's supervisor, who's white, by the way, I think pretty much everyone at the hospital is white minus her. Her supervisor puts a note on the baby's file that says, you know, no African Americans allowed. It's very clear that like Ruth isn't welcome, etc. I think it's the next day or within those first 24 hours of the baby's life, he ends up in the operating room to get a routine circumcision, and he ends up going into like cardiac arrest basically, and Ruth is the only one in that wing at that moment. She is covering for another nurse who had to go run out for an emergency. I think it was an emergency C-section. So Ruth is in this area when this baby has this happen to him. And she is immediately torn into this, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like forbidden from working with this kid. She obviously was not happy about that. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it. But basically, she does end up trying to save the baby, but the baby dies. That's kind of a spoiler, but that's at the very beginning. It's really not, because that's at the beginning. So that's the premise of this whole story. When this baby dies, the couple ends up fully blaming her, and they sue her. And the story is essentially the court case of this white supremacist couple suing Ruth. That's the basic plot point of it. Okay, so chapter length, writing style, let's get into that. I would say that the chapter length, they're average to long. I don't really love long chapters. It just makes it hard for my distracted brain to get through things. But yeah, they're like somewhat long, but nothing crazy. The writing style, the way that it's written, it is broken into, I think, like 3 parts, but those are kind of few and far between. And it is written from the perspective of, I think it just goes between 3 characters the whole time, but it does switch between the characters. So you have Ruth's perspective, who is, of course, the nurse. You have Turk's perspective, who he is the father of this white supremacist couple, of the baby. And then you have a girl named Kennedy who ends up being the public defender who defends Ruth in this trial. So you definitely get to hear the background and the character development of all of them, and it's told like chronologically as everything happens through their different perspectives. My favorite character in the book is definitely Kennedy. She is the lawyer. I just really like her character development. I really like what she does, like her dialogue, her everything. The connection that she forms with Ruth. I just really like everything about Kennedy. Ruth's great too, but yeah, my favorite character standout is Kennedy. Are there any standout or favorite quotes? Let me look. I don't think I didn't end up writing down any quotes from this that stood out to me. It's very well written and I really enjoyed it, but there wasn't any particular quote that jumped out at me. The last thing that I like to include in my book reviews is, would this make a good movie or miniseries? Like, do I want that to happen? The answer is yes. This is a intense story. It's a very, I don't even know the word. I mean, interesting, good, like it's an important, that's what it is. It's an important story. It's gripping. And yes, I want this to be a movie or a miniseries. And in fact, I do believe that it is getting made into a movie. Yes, starring Viola Davis and Julia Roberts. And to that I say, well done. I would assume, I mean, it doesn't say, but I would assume that means Julia Roberts would be playing Kennedy, the lawyer, and that Viola Davis would be playing Ruth. That is amazing casting. I'm like already getting Erin Brockovich vibes from that cast. I don't know who would play Turk, because I will tell you that he's not exactly a likable character. I mean, hello, he's a white supremacist. So that will be amazing. Even if this wasn't being adapted, I would definitely want it to be adapted. And I think it's going to make for a better movie than a miniseries. So that's that on that. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know. You know what? If you guys know of any other Jodi Picoult books that you recommend. I've also read My Sister's Keeper, and I've also read A Spark of Light, which that review is coming next. But I really like her work, and I would love to know if you have any other recommendations. So let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.